Hi, and welcome to week 2 of Information Management 2400. I hope the first week of the course went well for you, but if you're feeling overwhelmed, a little bit of frustration, or a little bit of confusion, keep in mind that that's normal for the first week of any course, but especially for a summer class where it's so intense. Stick with it, ask lots of questions, and if there's anything I can do to help, be sure that you get with me because that's what I'm here for. So in this video, what I'm going to talk with you about are some of the course-specific things, give you a little more clarification, and then I'm going to talk about our first big project of the course, which is our productivity project. So when you log in and you're looking at week 2, this is what you're seeing. It looks like a lot, but what it mostly is a lot of information. So take it bite by bite in small chunks and you'll be fine. The first thing that you'll want to do is read Chapter 2. Go into the McGraw-Hill website, take the quiz, do the assignment, not necessarily in that order. And when you're out here on the McGraw-Hill site, one of the things that you may have noticed is that all the assignments opened on the first day of class. So I did that. If you want to get ahead with the reading, the assignments and the quizzes, pretty straightforward, pretty standard, you are more than welcome to do that. You don't have to pay attention to the due dates, with the exception of the last week. Of course, they're Sunday by midnight, but they are open. If anything looks odd to you, if you have questions, if there's a question in the test that is very clearly wrong or you're just not sure about, shoot me an email and I'm always happy to take a look at those. So, of course, you will do that this week. We also have a required threaded discussion. And that discussion is located down here in the time management discussion. This first forum, Ask Questions, is not graded, not mandatory, but feel free to use it for anything that you might want to discuss separately. The time management discussion, you will need to post once in response, and then post to at least 2 of your classmates by Sunday at midnight. Now what I'm going to do is split the class into 2 different groups. So each group will only have 7 or 8 people, and because it's smaller, it's more manageable, it doesn't get quite as unwieldy. However, it does mean that you need to make sure that you're logging in early and discussing often so that we can keep the discussion moving forward. So, McGraw-Hill, and of course, the threaded discussion. Our first big assignment is the productivity project, and it actually will span 2 weeks. So you should start working on it this week, but you won't submit it until next week, and that's why you don't see a drop box in this week for the assignment. And before I dig into sort of the real meat of what the assignment is, there's a couple of things that you need to know. Semantics are really important in this class. You have to approach the reading and your assignments with some definitions in mind. So the first thing that we talk about in information management is the concept that we really don't have right answers and wrong answers. So it isn't that one solution or one option is necessarily quote-unquote right and all the others are quote-unquote wrong. What we talk about is more effective and less effective. So if you can keep that front and center while you're making decisions, you will find that things go a lot smoother. So when you're doing writing, when you're in the discussions, when you're doing your projects, I'm not looking for specific correct answers. I'm looking for you to understand that some things are going to be more effective than other things. Now, the word effective, of course, is in of itself broad and general. What do we mean when we say effective? We might mean more cost effective. We might mean it works better for our employees or our customers. So even when we say effective, we've still got to have an end goal in mind. And that's where the productivity project comes in. I do this because it will hopefully give you some insight into things that are making you less productive than you'd like to be, but also because this project is a nice microcosm, nice brief introduction of what the decision-making process should look like, and oftentimes does not. So when you open these productivity project instructions, this is what you're going to get. And I'm down here at the end. You'll want to start at the beginning. So for step 1, we're just going to do a quick pre-assessment. You're going to give me a couple of paragraphs where you answer these questions about the way you use technology in your daily life. Now again, there are no right or wrong answers here. This is a very personalized, very open-ended assignment. So I just want you thinking in terms of yourself, your own life. How do you use technology? What does it do? How does it not help you? Where is it an obstacle? And again, give me a couple paragraphs. This does not have to be an APA formatting. And of course, first person here is very appropriate because you're speaking of yourself. The next thing that you're going to do is you're going to pick 2 days throughout the week. And this is why I start this week. I would like it if one of those days was a day that you go to work or you're working on classwork, but if not, that's okay. What you're going to do is keep a log of your distractions. Now there's a template here that's really great. You're welcome to use it, fill it out, upload it, or you can use Excel and create your own log. But what you're going to do is just look at how often are you distracted and what actually is causing the distraction. Now, I'm going to pause here a minute and we're going to talk about distractions. What do I mean by distractions? So one of the pieces of information we have here is this minimizing distraction articles on Mind Tools, which is a site I love. And it's important that when we talk about distractions, we mean anything that takes you away from what you really are intending to do. So when we talk about distractions, we're not necessarily just talking about, well, when I'm at work, I tend to text my friends or spend time on social media. We're also talking about when you're with your family, when you're doing hobbies, are there things that are pulling you away? Your job may itself be a distraction from what you're trying to do. So in your log, you're just going to pay some attention, and you don't have to get the free newsletter if you don't want it, to what is happening. In fact, pop-ups are a distraction. So you're just going to pay attention. Now, if you've got something you do frequently, you're checking emails, you're texting, you're on social media, you're back and forth a lot, you don't have to write down every single instance. Just keep a general tally going. So if I want to be working on something and something else is pulling me away, what is that something else? Now, the template also says, how does it make you feel? And you can work with that as well. Now, the word minimizing is really important here because we cannot eliminate distractions. If my kid falls off of the swing at school and needs to go to the emergency room, I'm going to leave work. That's a distraction that has to be dealt with. Distractions might also be positive. So we want to minimize the distractions that are pulling us away from what we want to be doing. So that's the second section. Just let me know over the course of 2 days what are causing distractions. Now, this last part is very open-ended. First of all, what I want you to do is look at your overall life and find some place that you would like to do something more focused, something better. A lot of students work with minimizing distractions because that, for most of us, is an issue, but it doesn't have to be about distractions. It could be maybe there's something you love doing and you're just not finding enough time to do it. Maybe there's something that a hobby you enjoy, but you find that you're not very focused. How can you improve your focus? Maybe what you want to do is get more homework done in less time. Or maybe you just feel a little scattered and disorganized. So you're going to first say, here is my quote-unquote problem. Now, problem is, again, one of those words that has a negative connotation. But if you prefer to use the word situation or the word area needs improvement, that is fine as well. It doesn't have to be a big glaring thing. Think small, because you're only going to practice for 2 days. So once you have decided what sort of the problem is, then you're going to decide what you want to try out, or then you're going to set an objective. So maybe my problem is that I just am not cooking at home as often as I would like to. So then my objective will be, well, I'm going to try to cook at home for the 2 days that I'm doing this project. These are the things that I will do. Then you're going to pick a solution that you want to try out. It can be technology. It can be one of the tools that we talk about this week. It could be something completely different. It could be meditation. It could be exercise. It could be focus. Anything that you think might help you with your particular problem. Minimizing distractions article. Lots of great tips. Feel free to implement just 2 or 3 of those. The Pomodoro technique is one that most students try out. They really like to give it a go. So read through this and see what it is. Now with Pomodoro, what you do is you break your project down into chunks, and you take breaks regardless of where you're at in terms of time rather than progress. Now, Pomodoro tends to get mixed results, and current research indicates that for many people, if the tasks tend to be routine and something with which they're familiar, Pomodoro can work great. If it's a highly creative endeavor, Pomodoro doesn't necessarily work so well. But you are welcome to try Pomodoro, break it into 25-minute sections, take a longer break, see how that works for you. The Getting Things Done method is an entire organizational method, and it's broken into 5 steps that let you overhaul the entire way that you use your life. Obviously, we don't have time to do the whole thing. So if you want to use this approach, what you're going to want to do is provide better written organization for what you're doing. But go through these websites and take a look. If you have something else that you would like to try, if you've got a Fitbit, maybe you want to try doing a better job of tracking your footsteps, any of those kinds of things are great. So pick something that you think will help you be a touch more productive. Try it out for 2 days. Again, a work day would be great. And then in the last section, tell me which one of these things you tried, how it went, whether or not it was good. You may also have apps that work with your phone or other productivity tools that you want to use. The point of this is not that you're going to overhaul your life or find the perfect solution. It's that you're going to be experienced in working with the way that we should make decisions. We should first do an environmental scan, which is what our distraction log is, and also what our initial write-up is on where are our feelings on what are happening. Then we need to identify a problem, set an objective, test a possible solution, and evaluate the solution. Once you have worked through this and you think of it in terms of those steps, as you move through the chapter work, you will see this basic theme repeated over and over and over again. And it will give you a really good idea of where breakdown is happening in organizations when they're trying to leapfrog steps. Now, obviously, with some organizations, the scale and scope are much, much bigger, but the basic concepts are still the same. So if you have any questions or concerns about this, please post. My suggestion is that you do the first couple of sections this week. Do your practice and your post-assessment next week. Now, you can complete this entire assignment this week if you would like to. You could theoretically also procrastinate it and push it back to next week, but usually that suggests that you need to work on time management. If time management is an issue for you, do a little research and find some tools that will help you with time management. And I hope you have a really great week.